Hi, I'm Htun, president of Mobilizing Myanmar. I'm a Burmese American social entrepreneur focused on innovation, digital inclusion, digital financial inclusion, and fostering women economic empowerment. Because I grew up in a rural village without any connectivity or paved roads, my lifelong mission is to connect people, both digitally and financially. My mission is also to leverage smartphone technologies, affordable connectivity, digital literacy, and digital finance in the empowerment of women and girls. And back in 2006, 2007, I was part of the innovation team developing the very first Android phone. Back then, we had no idea that we were building an important tool of resiliency and inclusivity. I had also worked with the deputy governors of the Central Bank of Myanmar to enable the regulatory framework to allow mobile financial services industry to exist. When I first returned to Myanmar in 2012, it was one of the third least connected countries on the planet, along with North Korea and Cuba. Less than a decade later, because of the liberalization and affordable connectivity, smartphones are in the hands of both urban and rural population. When I first joined WomenLift Health Cohort, my initial plans for the leadership projects were to share about how we were working with the midwives and mothers in Myanmar to digitize maternal and child cash transfer to reduce childhood stunting. We wanted to share with you about these women-led trainings and our work with the midwives. But the coup happened. Everything changed, and the country is really in a major crisis. But there's also a lot of opportunity to innovate, as well as a lot of opportunity for learning, because Myanmar is both a failed state and a primary smartphone market where everyone has a smartphone in their hand. If we were to look at the multidimensional humanitarian disaster, you'll see that 14 out of 15 regions are within the critical threshold of acute malnutrition. Half the population to be living in poverty, and a quarter of the population's going hungry and in need of aid. And alarming rates of maternal and infant mortality, one of the most dangerous places to be a healthcare worker, unemployment, learning disruption, anything you can imagine. The currency's devalued, and more than 660,000 people are displaced inside the country. And this is not including those taking refuge in the refugee camps in Thailand and Bangladesh. And on top of it, the military is blocking aid convoys. And as a result, people have just become really dependent and really leaned into the technology, that one tool that's in their hands. I mean, this year has really been one of the most challenging years, and Women of Myanmar will tell you that connectivity, digital finance, smartphone technologies are some of the most important tools of resiliency and coping with crisis. And I want to share with you how the women leaders and women in crisis and internally displaced people are using it to navigate this challenging period. Because of the connectivity, these elected women leaders, those who fled the military's coup, and they're able to organize themselves into the National Unity Government, or NUG, as an alternative to the illegitimate coup maker, the military. So connectivity has allowed these women leaders to engage in Zoom diplomacy. And mobile money can get through the military's aid blockade, and which has become a lifeline for both urban, rural, and the displaced people. Our teams pivoted all our work towards training mothers and displaced women in crisis on how to use digital finance so that they can receive emergency cash relief. And we've been sending emergency relief resources directly and instantaneously into the digital wallets of thousands of internally displaced people, blind people, pregnant women, nursing mothers, and midwives. And some of the recipients are all over the places. They're in small villages, rural villages, wherever they are, as long as they have access to connectivity and access to digital wallet, we can get aid to them. So I want to tell you a little bit about this community, about the blind community. I became good friends with 3 blind massage therapists, 2 women and 1 man, about 5 years ago. And I taught 3 of them how to use mobile money so that they could buy airtime for their phones without having to look around for a seeing eye person to read out a series of numbers from scratch cards for them. And the 3 blind massage therapists that I taught, they taught a lot of other people how to use mobile money. And, you know, blind community is really in a deep crisis as well, since most of the blind people haven't had any income since the beginning of COVID. So it's been nearly 2 years that they haven't had any income between the coup and the COVID. So last month alone, my team was able to send emergency cash relief directly into the digital wallets of nearly 1,000 blind men and women who are located across the country, some in extremely remote villages. So what I'm saying is that if village women who are blind since birth can learn how to use smartphone, how to use messaging apps as a way of connecting with others, how to use digital finance so that she can be empowered, what is going to stop other women and girls from around the world from being able to empower themselves using the smartphones in their hands? And I really urge development agencies to look at the way the blind population and the displaced population with smartphones in Myanmar as an inspiration to innovate new ways of getting resources to the most vulnerable population around the world. And for lifting up women and girls around the world, I would really like to urge everyone to invest in ways to make sure that there is a smartphone in every woman and girl's hands globally, and teach her how to maximize that incredibly powerful tool in her hands. And let's make sure that no woman is left behind. And I really, truly believe that smartphone technology, connectivity, digital literacy, digital financial literacy are incredibly powerful tools of resiliency for empowerment of women in crisis. Thank you.